this is Meg with Blkcity Coffee. So I wanted to show you guys the 3 stages of, or actually it's basically two stages from raw to roasted, what you're receiving with your images, okay? And I want to show you kind of like the journey it goes on. What I have right now, I'm gonna put it in my lap so you can see what raw coffee looks like. Now raw coffee is really cool, and it's sort of like, so what you're seeing here is basically the raw coffee beans, and they sit in there in a little, they call it a cherry. It's this red fruit that comes from a coffee tree, and they sit 2 together like this in a cherry, okay? And what they do is they process it, and there's a couple ways to process it, and the way that I usually purchase to roast here at home is called washed. So they'll wash this cherry part off, they'll hull it off, or kind of strip away that fruit part, and then you're left with this guy, and there's some like sticky coating that surrounds the raw bean, or the seed, I guess. You can also call it a seed. And they wash that away with just a lot of water and stuff. And so you're left with these guys, these little green raw coffee beans. And so this is what I receive and purchase from like other wholesalers, and those wholesalers get it direct from an actual farm. For example, this one is from Rwanda, and so this coffee is what I'll be sending you guys. In its raw state, it looks like this. So when I receive it, I store these just inside the home, and I'll measure out an appropriate amount and start roasting that. And so since my roaster is so small, I have to roast them in really small batches to make everything consistent. And I have to do this multiple times because my roaster is so small, but it's okay, I love it. So from here, once we get it to this state and it's roasting, and I'm actually done roasting the bean, which usually takes anywhere from, in my experience, 10 to 12 minutes. Most likely 10, because I want to give you guys like a city roast, a light roast, right? It'll come out looking like this. So as you can see, there's like this little papery stuff on the outside of the bean. Now, these I actually just pulled from the machine because they were like stragglers. They got stuck somewhere, or they didn't turn, or whatever. They got stuck in the chute. And so they actually haven't developed all the way, but I kept them because you could really see that papery thing on the outside, and what we call that is chaff. Okay, so this doesn't affect taste at all, so you may see a little bit of that in your bag. So don't be alarmed by that. It doesn't affect your taste at all. Once you grind it, it would just be ground with the rest of your coffee. And I think as long as you're using like a paper filter coffee, like pour over or AeroPress, or drip coffee, you shouldn't have to worry about this, okay? So I try to clean off as much as I can with that, with like just like shimmying it around and releasing that chaff. And most of the time, if they're well developed, that stuff will just pop off and I actually just clean it up. But you may see some stuff in your bag. So I just wanted to let you know, like, don't be alarmed by that. It doesn't really do anything except cause fires in my roaster. They're highly flammable. So if you were to collect a bunch of this, you could use it as like tinder. Okay, so that's what chaff looks like. Now, what a fully developed roasted coffee bean looks like is this, okay? So as you can see, that chaff is actually still wrapped up inside that bean. If you were to cut this bean, you would see it's kind of like a little half like cinnamon roll where it rolls in like that, and that's why the chaff is still in there. You see that in the line of the bean like that. And so that's nothing to worry about. That's also a sign of like light roasted coffee because the bean has not expanded enough for it to release that chaff part, right? And I actually really love the look of this. And I really love the taste of light coffee. So, you know, it all just kind of works out. So as you can see, I did a really good job on this one because the roast color and quality, and there's no singeing or burning on this per se. And when I first started out, I burnt the hell out of the beans. They were so dark, they were so inflated. They were just like burnt to hell because I didn't know how to deal with air and heat yet in time. And it's just really funny. But now they're really beautifully roasted, slowly roasted. And I'm really proud of this one actually. And this one's actually from Costa Rica. So as you can see, it actually like, you know, almost doubled in size, right? So, or maybe 1/3, because these aren't the same bean. But as you can see, like the difference between a raw coffee bean and a roasted one. And you'll also notice too, like if you were here with me, and if you felt the raw beans, they're a lot heavier, they're more dense, versus the ones that are roasted, they're a lot lighter because they had air introduced into them as a coffee bean. It's kind of like popcorn. As a coffee bean is roasted, it expands, and a lot of its weight is kind of like lifted. They say about 20% of its weight lifts because moisture leaves the bean, you know, as it expands and cooks. So it looks like that, and it's pretty cool. They're so pretty, they're so beautiful. I love these things. They're so precious. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to show you that, you know, that chaff's nothing to be afraid of, and from green bean to roasted bean, it's a pretty cool process. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time. Bye.